Good afternoon, dear colleagues. And using this opportunity, I would like to greet everyone with the 25th anniversary of independence of Ukraine, and now the information about the events in the ATO area during last 24 hours. On the day of the state flag of Ukraine, the enemy started massive shelling of our positions with the use of heavy weapons, practically in all areas. The number of shells and mines launched by the enemy is counted by hundreds. In the Lugansk area, the enemy opened fire at our servicemen in Lapaskine, Krymskaya, Zolote, and near Popasna. And near Krymsky, during the day, the enemy delivered heavy mortar shelling. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Lugansk area, there were 7 enemy shellings, including 1 with the use of heavy weapons. Also, during the last 24 hours in the Donetsk area, the enemy used cannons and mortars in 4 regions. These are Svetlodarsk, Balch, Zaitsevo regions, suburbs of Avdiivka, and at the part of the front line, Nevelska, Krasnogorovka. The enemy used 82 to 152 millimeter weaponry. The enemy also delivered fire after 7 p.m. and they continued the shelling till the midnight. And on average, they launch about 20 to 40 mines and artillery shells. Also, central part of Avdiivka came under fire. That's why railway facilities were damaged. These were the controls, the railways, and other equipment. That's why Ocheretina Avdiivka part of railway was the movement was stopped. On the whole, in the Donetsk area, there were 19 enemy shellings, 13 with the use of heavy weapons. Mariupol area, rear part of the region, came under large caliber artillery shelling. That was Sianitin village of Nikolsky region. This is 20 kilometers from the front line. And the enemy launched 45 shells during 2 hours. Also powerful artillery shelling delivered by the enemy was in Talakivka, and the enemy launched 50 shells with the use of this type of weapon. And also there were mortar shelling in Marienka. There, the militants launched more than 100 mines of different caliber. Also, the militants used heavy weapons. These are mortars and cannons at other parts of front line, and these shellings were also heavy. And the activity of fire delivered by Russian occupation forces increased along the Mariupol area. On the whole, during the last 24 hours, there were 22 shellings, 12 with the use of heavy weapons. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, 1 Ukrainian serviceman was killed and 1 was wounded. We express our condolences to the relatives of the serviceman who was killed. In Lugansk area, SBU detained a member of LPR militant group. It was established that this militant was serving at Lenin Memorial in Privilla town in Lugansk Oblast in May 2014. After liberation of this town by Ukrainian forces, this man fled to Russia. Then he was trying to return, but he was detained, and he accepted fully his guilt. At pre-frontline area in Toretsk, the law enforcers detained a militant who was involved in the military group starting December 2014, and through social networks, she provided information about Ukrainian servicemen who were brought to hospital where she worked. And also she provided the information about deployment and movement of military equipment of the armed forces of Ukraine. The resident of Konstantinovka found a grenade in the street and informed about it the police. And these grenades were confiscated, and we call on everyone, if they find some suspicious objects, be vigilant and inform the law enforcers about it. Paratroopers of 79th Brigade of Paratroopers were parachuted on water. It was done with use of Mi-14 from the altitude of 600 meters. They show high professionalism, how to handle the weapons and what to do in the water. So during the celebration of the Day of Independence of Ukraine, the president took part in the ceremony in Chuguev. They provided 141 units of military equipment to the military units of ATO area. And they provide new modernized types of equipment, armored vehicles, tanks, self-propelled systems, anti-aircraft means, and also destroyers and military helicopters. Also, to mark the Independence Day, the President awarded 43 servicemen who took part in ATO operation with orders and medals. So, Lieutenant Colonel Mikhailo Drapati got the order of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, third class. He took part in heavy fighting in Sector D in July 2014. They were encircled by the enemy, but they made a breakthrough and they joined the main forces. And the column was headed by the commander of the 1st Battalion of 73rd Detached Mechanized Brigade, Mikhailo Drapati. Also, Lieutenant Sergei Shatalov got the Order for Courage, 3rd class, on the 30th of September 2014 in Granitna, Donetsk Oblast, in the forest. He found that there were militants and military equipment, and our forces destroyed 2 Grad systems, 2 mortar groups, armored vehicle that is called Tiger of Russian production, and also damaged 2 tanks of Russian occupation forces. Also, during the parade, to mark the Day of Independence of Ukraine, the President awarded Golden Star to 2 heroes of Ukraine. These are Colonel Andriy Kovalchuk and Captain Valery Chebeneev. Colonel Andriy Kovalchuk took part in ATO operation starting from the first day. He fought near Liman and Slavyansk, and then he was one of the heads of operation to deblock and to defend Lugansk airport. He was wounded twice there. For successful actions, he got 2 orders of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, and also he was promoted. 2 more heroes of Ukraine, the defendants of Donetsk airport, soldier Igor Branovitsky and Captain Sergei Kolody, were awarded post-mortem. Also, the head of Kiev Military Lyceum, named after Ivan Bogun, was awarded Major General. Igor Gordichuk took part in the military actions in Savur-Mogila, and they were the enemy fired from 2 directions, and the situation was difficult. Colonel Gordichuk was heavily wounded, and he was treated in the United States. And now he is the head of the Chief Military Lyceum of our state. Thank you. If you have questions, please ask. Fifth channel, could you please tell us where our servicemen were wounded, and what about the air drones? There is no information about air drones, but there were 48 enemy shellings, 26 with the use of heavy weapons, and the losses are Nevelskaya, 1 killed, 1 wounded, in the result of mortar shelling. Thank you.